Two New Zealand deep-sea divers have just become the first to visit and film the wreck of a ship that was sunk in violent circumstances during World War I by the Germans. A ship sunk not on the other side of the world, but in New Zealand waters, off Farewell Spit at the top of the South Island. Simon Shepherd has obtained the first video of the wreck, pictures, as you will see, that show it with amazing clarity.
Imagine going down this line. Not for 10 or 20, but 100 metres. To a world which keeps secrets. And imagine on the surface, an anxious support crew, waiting to find out if 9 years of research and $25,000 was going to be worth it.
It wouldn't have surprised us at all to go down that anchor line on the day we did the dive and find a pile of rocks, like a reef, not a shipwreck at all. And the history of technical divers diving deep wrecks is littered with stories like that. HMS Seabed, not a shipwreck.
But Simon Mitchell and Pete Mesley found what they'd been looking for. These are the first pictures of what they believed was the Port Kembla, a cargo ship sunk by a German raider during the First World War.
For me, the best conditions that I've ever done a 90 or 100 metre dive in my entire career, and we looked at each other thinking that, this could have been a 40-metre tropical reef dive. The ambient light, normally we've done dives 100 metres and it's been black, and just absorbing all of that in was just insane.
This dive had the weight of history riding on it. In 1917, the Port Kembla was en route to London with a cargo of wool, tallow and lead. It's thought it hit a mine laid by this German raider, the SMS Wolf.
As the Wolf left keel, came right round to the other side of the world to New Zealand, sinking ships, and got back. In fact, the Germans had actually written the Wolf off. Because it was a coal-burning ship, it virtually had to go to ship to ship. It would capture a ship, get the coal off it to keep it going for another month. And it was at sea for so long that even the Germans had given up hope that it would actually get back.
The Port Kembla was one of 4 ships sunk by the Wolf in New Zealand waters. Others included the Wairuna at Raoul Island and the passenger liner, the Waimira, off Cape Reinga.
It's an interesting story for me because it's one that very few people know about. You talk about World War I, German ships over in New Zealand, sinking ships in New Zealand, and it's just something most people just can't get to grips with.
It was Mike Fraser's research into where the Wolf laid its mines that led the dive team to the wreck. But to prove it was the Port Kembla, the divers had to find some evidence.
I turned around and I swam back towards Simon, and I saw him scuffing around in a little wee hole somewhere, and I thought, oh, hello. So I came around over to him, and he just turned around in this billowing silt, and we heard a few whoops and yeehaws, and Simon started to uncover a plate, and he started to give it a little bit of a clean off to look for any identifying marks. And then Simon lifted up his thumb, and of course there was the...
It was right where my thumb was. It was the very last place I looked on the plate. It said Commonwealth and Dominion Line, which was the owners of the Port Kembla, and there it was, just like that. Yeah.
It was proof enough, but conditions were so perfect, the divers went down again the next day. The mission, find the ship's bell. And sure enough...
We actually don't believe in pillaging wrecks and taking all the artefacts off them. And let me say, there are a lot of artefacts on this wreck that we just left alone. But we felt that if we could find the bell, we would really like to see it go to somewhere appropriate, like the National Maritime Museum. And we have already made approaches to them about taking it and putting a Port Kembla display up, and I think that they're going to do that.
It's pretty heavy,
Now, beside the garden shed of this suburban Auckland house, lies a 90-year-old encrusted relic from a ship sunk by a German raider.
It's pretty stinky.
this is not the end of the adventure for these two. They still have the bug to go where no one else has been before.
There are not many ways you can do that in the world these days, and this is one of them, and we've been lucky enough to share that experience.
What do you think the odds are that you'll ever find another undived wreck?
Very high. Extremely high. This year, extremely high.
Simon Shepherd reporting there. Well, that's us for another week. Thanks for watching. Ka kite. Good evening.